is a great question because organizations need to change. We all know that. We need to change with the times. The speed at which we need to change is getting shorter. It's not longer. You need to change faster. And the other fact is people don't like change. They don't like change. So this is all about how you understand what goes on in people's minds when it comes to change management. Some of the things that I can talk to you about is to inspire people to change. You have to have trust. You have to have an open environment, but you also can't punish people when they don't change as fast as you want them to change. I'm going to say that again. If you're a leader and you have 10 leaders reporting to you, every one of those 10 leaders is going to change at a different rate of speed. Do not punish the slow learners or the slow changers, and don't reward the fast ones. Your job as a leader is to get results from the entire team, regardless of how fast they're changing. Now, that's one of the most difficult things that first I had to understand, and secondly, I have to deal with this because the group still needs to get results. And when you sit in the CEO chair, that means that you still have to get results from the business. You still have to pay people. You still have to pay suppliers. You still have to generate revenue. You still have to generate profits. And you can't put the business on hold because you're changing the company. And doing that and getting people to change is a very, very interesting task. It can be very difficult, and it could be very quickly. It all depends on the culture, the environment of the organization that you're in, the culture of the organization. Servant leadership is about looking at things differently. That's a change. And so you're going to ask them to look at helping people. And some people will respond to the word, I want you to help people. Some people may not react to the word if you say, hey, I want you to serve people. All right? And understand the difference between those two, because if you tell a leader that you want them to serve people, that person may have some experiences in their life that didn't happen at your company, didn't happen in their business life, but when they hear that word, how you used it, where you used it, or the tone you used it in, they're going to pull out an old file where they had a negative experience with that word. And that's how they're going to react to you. And in change management, I try to help leaders understand that when you don't get the reaction that you expect, either positive or negative, you need to understand that the probability of that reaction having nothing to do with what you just said or did is really high, because it's the past experience that people bring to the table when you ask them to go through that change. So be very sensitive to, and what we call that around SLI is we call those old files. So I have old files of an experience. And here's a great example for you. When I was younger in early grade school, probably 2 years or 3 years old, I had whooping cough. And whooping cough, back then, you were put in the hospital, you were put in an oxygen tent. So there's a bed, it's covered with this plastic. And I remember laying in bed, and that's how they put oxygen in your body back then. And I remember adults looking at me through this clear plastic, looking down at me, and it made me very uncomfortable. And before I understood the power of these old files, if I were at home and I was by myself and it was dark outside, I felt like I was back in that bubble, because people from outside the house could see me with the lights on, but I couldn't see them. And I felt like I was in a bubble. So I would always have to draw the drapes or close the blinds or something, because I didn't like being in that environment where people could see me but I couldn't see them. And a good friend of mine, Tim, helped me understand that that little behavior thing that I held on as an adult went back to that time I was in the hospital when I was in the oxygen tent. And when I started to understand that, I was able to change my own behavior and my own beliefs because he helped me understand where that came from. A business application, I've asked people to come see me at the end of the day so I can mentor them. I did this with a young lady years ago, and she came to my office at 4 o'clock and she had a box. And I asked her, "What's in the box?" And she said, "It's my personal belongings." I said, "Why'd you bring your personal belongings?" She said, "Well, the last company where I was asked to come see the CEO at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, within 20 minutes, I lost my job and I was in the parking lot." And I said, "All right, my company's not like that company that you experienced. Put your box down. All I want to do is help you understand some of the values that we operate our company by. I just want to help and coach you and mentor you a little bit." But she took her past experience, because I'm going to the CEO's office at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, I'm going to lose my job. And that reaction had nothing to do with me. It had everything to do with her past experience. So when you're asking people to go into change management, and you're asking them to look at things from a different perspective, just be aware that you may cross into some of those old files and you go, "Wow, I did not see that coming. I didn't see that reaction coming." And instead of reacting to it yourself, which leaders tend to do, we just react to it, ask yourself, what did I say or do that created that? Maybe you should be asking the question to that individual, "Help me understand why you're a little hesitant in this change. Why did you react the way you did?" And if you get people to talk about it, you can help them get over that file and move forward in change management. And I guess what I'm trying to say is, anytime you introduce a new idea into change, and the change word is part of it, the change management, right? People are going to go in with a little bit of a protective barrier up before they really understand that you really want to help them get better. And just know that you're going to deal with that barrier up front and earn some trust. Do a lot of listening. Listen. And don't respond. And ask some clarifying questions. And what we try and teach is, when you're in that listening mode and you're trying to understand, tell me more. Help me understand. And just keep asking those questions until you get to the point where you develop that trust that the individual knows, okay, you really do want to help me and you're really listening to me. So help me understand, tell me more. And in my organization, when I start asking those questions, they know where I'm going. I'm living what I teach, because I want to know more about what they're talking about. And I want to understand it to a level that they understand it. And that's always a positive thing. So listen a lot, figure out where people are on, add value to them, and understand you're going to run across old files when you talk about change. And just remember that a lot of times that reaction has nothing to do with what you just said and did as a leader. So hopefully that helps you in that process. There's a lot that goes into change management, and a lot of it, new ideas. People don't like change, and just help them understand, if we don't change, maybe things are going to get really tough. And I think once people understand you're trying to get better, I think people will jump on board and go along with you. As long as you have a good, trusting relationship and you don't beat on people when you think the idea isn't worth pursuing. So anyway, I threw in a little bit extra there, but I hope that helps with that question on how do you introduce servant leadership into a change management environment. Great question.